Science fiction is one of those genres that can do anything. From groundbreaking epics in 2001 and Blade Runner, to creepy crossovers with Event Horizon and Alien, to the mind-breakingly complex in Primer and Coherence. Sci-Fi has something for everyone in its experimental vision of what technology might unleash if we let it run wild. Robots, mind control, interdimensional squid beings that appear through warp drives and turn humankind into fine space delicacies for their planetary pals, the options are endless for the world of tomorrow. And whilst movies might have the market cornered for the most part, the small screen is doing all sorts of wonderful work for science fiction that is going entirely unnoticed in the wake of Star Wars spin-offs and Star Trek continuations and Star whatever reboots. If you really want a dose of what sci-fi can do, then these are the shows to prove it to you. I am What Culture's own android, Ash. No, not that one. And these are 9 underrated sci-fi TV shows you need to watch. 9. The Expanse. Set hundreds of years in the future, the entire solar system has been colonized and an uneasy peace exists between Earth and Mars, the latter of which is big, red, and angry, sitting as its own independent military power. With everything feeling very Cold War, the setup is disrupted by what seems like a tragic accident, with seems being the operative word. Further investigation by those trying to preserve the peace starts to unravel a conspiracy that threatens to destroy everything. Based on the books of the same name, The Expanse was originally developed for good old campy sci-fi. After 3 seasons and multiple awards though, Sci-Fi had enough of a good thing and cancelled the series, with 2 more produced by your friends and mine, Amazon Prime instead. Despite being one of the best science fiction shows of its kind, The Expanse has received nowhere near the same legendary status as other series of its ilk. Stuck in the shadow of Battlestar Galactica et al., but its political tension and drama is enough to rival even that of Game of Thrones. Yes, I did say that. Go and watch the damn show. 8. Lost in Space. With the amount of original content that Netflix churns out, it is easy for a series launch to get lost in the mix. So of course, this was the case for the 2018 reboot of the classic sci-fi series Lost in Space. Based on the 1965 TV show, which was in turn loosely based on the 1812 book, The Swiss Family Robinson, Lost in Space tells the story of a group of colonists heading to a brand spanking new planet who become stranded after crashing on a far less hospitable one en route to their new home. The updated series keeps the Robinson family, as well as the nefarious Dr. Smith, with all sorts of danger and family-friendly intensity abound along the way. Critics and fans were torn on this one. Some loved the updated story and characters, whilst others felt that it didn't quite come together. Regardless, it does do a lot of things right that should be earning it far more attention than it's gotten so far. 7. Dollhouse. The sci-fi genius Joss Whedon and Fox have a bit of a tempestuous relationship. Fox seem to like to produce his work, but they don't seem to produce a lot of it. Take Dollhouse as a case in point. A person who has volunteered to have a personality wiped and stored, then let herself be reprogrammed over and over again for whatever purpose the person paying desires. People that do this are called dolls. Unlike other dolls, Echo remembers small portions of each reprogramming and starts to piece together what is really going on around the edges of her consciousness. Running for 2 seasons, ratings started low and progressively got better, but not so much that Fox would renew the series for a 3rd season. Frustratingly, it had huge potential to become something massive, rendering it underrated for never getting the chance to fully form. But at least what fans got was pretty darn good. 6. Killjoys. If Star Wars has taught sci-fi fans anything, it's that bounty hunters make good watching, despite the complicated profession. And would you looky here, Killjoys is filled with the things. The series follows Dutch, John, and Davin, 3 bounty hunters operating in a solar system called the Quad. As members of the Reclamation Apprehension Coalition, they are obligated to remain neutral on all official RAC missions. Naturally, it doesn't usually work out that way since their personal lives constantly creep into their missions and a revolutionary war lies at the brink of their existence. Of course that's going to make things difficult. The Canadian-made series has cranked out 5 solid 10-episode seasons, giving fans enough to really sink their teeth into and enjoy. It's a little grittier than the future shown in shows like Star Trek, and has its fun in other ways, like the main characters being ludicrous beyond belief at times, but in the best possible way. 5. Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles. The Terminator franchise has fallen on hard times since the highs of T2 Judgment Day. Even if a sequel is remotely good, the bad taste left in viewers' mouths by the terrible movies is hard to overcome. That's part of what happened with the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Initially set in 1999, 4 years after the events of T2, Sarah, John, and a Terminator named Cameron are on the run from a new Skynet threat. They time jump to the year 2007 in another attempt to prevent Judgment Day and mount an offensive on Skynet. Starring Lena Headey and Summer Glau, the Sarah Connor Chronicles did not get the respect it deserved, both for the quality of story it gave fans and in expanding the franchise's narrative, especially in the wake of some of the tosh we've had now. Off the air for over a decade now, this is definitely a series worth revisiting, if only to remember the type of Terminator story we deserved rather than the ones we have had ever since. 4. Final Space. Created by Olin Rogers and produced by Conan O'Brien and Jeff Ross, Final Space is a brilliant twist on the classic space opera. At first, it seems like a one-note parody of the future performed in glorious animation, aka Futurama 2.0, but quickly proves itself to be a subtly brilliant story with wonderfully engaging characters. In truth, though, they do a good job of hiding all of this good stuff behind jokes about peeing all over the inside of their own ship. Final Space succeeds by providing the viewer with a serialized storyline that demands to be binge-watched in an afternoon. Season 1 was impressive, but Season 2 found a way to take it up a notch further. Season 3 has been confirmed to be in the works, providing the perfect jumping-in point for any and all that missed the series on its initial outing. There's a lot more story to tell in this world, so it's nice for a sci-fi series to actually be given the chance to do so. 3. Space Above and Beyond. A down and dirty science fiction series about war in space, Space Above and Beyond does exactly what it promises on the tin. Attempting to establish colonies away from humanity's home solar system, Earth finds itself at war with an alien species from the outside, as well as artificially intelligent beings from within. On top of that, humans genetically engineered for battle struggle to find their place in society. It is a whole mess of battle-ready entities clashing. Planned for 5 seasons, Space Above and Beyond only lasted for the one measly season in the end, but made it as memorable of a run as possible. Focused on a group of fighter pilots called the Wildcards, this series gave fans a darker view of the future and a relatively more realistic view of space combat. It was less space samurai and transporters and more a war movie with space. Space wars, eh? Sounds weirdly familiar, that. 2. Almost Human. Some TV series don't make it for reasons beyond their control. Others get crippled by their own networks. As many seasons have suffered from the same fate, so did Almost Human fall into that frustrating second category. In the not-too-distant future, crime rates have spiked by 400% due to uncontrolled advances in science and technology. As a means of fighting this, every police officer is paired with an artificial lifeform, specifically a combat model android. This doesn't go over well with the main character, Kennex, who has some deep-seated issues with the things. The key to the series is the evolving relationship between Kennex and Dorian, his android partner, though it wasn't really ever allowed to get that far. Only 13 episodes were produced and the series was cancelled due to low ratings relative to cost. It probably didn't help that Fox, because of course it was Fox, aired the episodes almost completely out of order. It's hard for a story to gain traction when it barely makes sense. 1. Firefly. And now the most notorious case of underrated science fiction there is in the history of TV. Like Almost Human, Firefly deserved much better. Coincidentally, Fox again aired the episodes out of order as if to shoot themselves in the foot on purpose. There might be a bit of a pattern forming here. Either that or they just really hate Joss Whedon, which is probably the case. Joss Whedon's Western in Space was set in a future where Earth was all but destroyed, and humanity has branched out to other planets and systems. Battles between the governing body and those living on the fringes of this new society dominate the landscape, and the crew of the Serenity tries to carve out a living on those fringes. Firefly had the potential to be one of the biggest science fiction series in history. Whedon had reputedly planned out a 7-season-long arc, but Fox didn't agree, and cancelled the series before the first season was even complete. Whilst fan devotion got a film, Serenity, born from the ashes of Firefly in the end, the completed set of seasons would have gone down far more smoothly. But alas, that is the curse of becoming a cult hit. The masses weren't there to get the views this thing needed, and we've been paying for it ever since. Bring Firefly back, for God's sake! And that's our list. What are your favourite sci-fi TV shows that deserve a little more love? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. I've been Ash, and this has been What Culture. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and come back again soon for Final Frontiers, Strange New Worlds, and more lovely sci-fi goodness. Thanks for watching.